That should be working. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee meeting for Thursday, June the 6th. Going to call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. First thing on our agenda are the minutes from February 27th, March 7th, and March 25th.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I can make the motions on those minutes.
Okay.
And get those approved. So make a motion that Shopc approve the meeting minutes from February 27th, 2024.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay.
Second.
In favor? Jesse?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Okay, and Dorianne is aye. All right, you want to make a motion for the
Yep.
other?
Yep. So the motion is to approve the Shopc draft minutes from March 7th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Paul? Okay, all those in favor, Jesse?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
And Dorianne is aye. Okay, Jesse, one more set.
Yeah. Motion is to approve the meeting minutes from March 27th, 2024.
Second.
Okay,
Can you just refresh my memory? Is that the one where we just where 61, the 61A property was discussed?
It was.
yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to abstain on that one.
Okay. Thanks, Al. All right, so Jesse,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and Dorianne is aye. Okay, minutes are all approved. The next thing all right, so Al, we are gonna discuss 61A property, just an update on it, and then how to build, try to do a project on that. Can you participate in that discussion, or because it's on the 61A property, you cannot?
You can use me as a technical resource to the extent that I have facts available that might be useful to the committee, but I'm certainly not going to vote on anything related to it.
Okay,
Dorian, can I make a suggestion?
yeah,
Why don't we, if we could, your call, but why don't, if we took the third discussion item first?
yeah, that's
And
what I
Mr.
was
Ham-
going to do, but then I wanted to check with Al because the other one is the process for building, and not specifically, doesn't have to specifically be on that property. It could be a general discussion about what our procedures would be and how we would move forward with this. If we don't really make it that it's specifically for the 61A property, and it's just a general discussion on the process and how we would go about it, the steps. I think that would cover Al, so he could join the discussion. Am I not
That
correct?
works.
I think that would work, right? Okay. All right, so let's do the this discussion. So I had received an email from Andrew Dennington. The select board would like to try to tighten up the process and make it a little bit easier for us to be able to build affordable housing in town, i.e. Shopc is in charge of finding affordable housing or creating it or facilitating it. We would then have to go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which would be our funding source. And we would have to go to CPC, and we would have to ask to have money transferred from the housing bucket to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And then they would have to facilitate it from there. It's very convoluted. It's a very tedious task to get something done. And which we found out we had 3 projects we could have possibly done, but we couldn't get the money transferred. We didn't have money. So, you know, we lost out on that, on those 3 projects. So, what the select board would like to do is to take the board, the Shopc board, the Affordable Housing Trust Board, and have 2 members from each of these two boards, along with Lisa Braccio, whose idea was to combine these boards and create a new board or a new Affordable Housing Trust Fund board, eliminating the Shopc board. Am I correct in that?
There's no specific proposal as to how this new entity would be formed. In other words, there's no commitment to take somebody from planning. There's no, uh, just to sort of step back for a moment. What we're doing isn't working. You know, I mean, the plain fact is we haven't built affordable housing in over 10 years. And so we need to do something else. It's also painfully clear that the idea that the select board is going to be the Affordable Housing Trust Fund isn't working. Because the select board has 17 different priorities that it and has its fingers in way too many pies. It's also very clear that we've been advised by some consultants a few years ago that the town has too many committees. We have too many committees and not enough volunteers. And so streamlining the process seems to make sense. There's no specific proposal yet as to what this new entity would be. It appears that at a bare minimum, the new entity would have to be the Affordable Housing Trust Fund because of the financial responsibilities of that fund and the authorities that are vested in that fund, which are substantial. You know, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund can buy property, it can sell property, it can hire contractors, it can hire, it can hire largely without anyone else's say so. It is designed to be to have some a very broad set of authorities. I think in broad strokes, the board would like to, instead of populating it with the select board, although there's one requirement, which is that at least one member of the select board be on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, to staff it with people who have expertise in affordable housing so as to, hopefully streamline it. Now, I also sat down with the CPAC, the Consumer Community Preservation Act, to talk about moving the housing funds into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and they were reluctant to do that. We're going to work on that a little more because we haven't had a meaningful application that was going to with them. So that is the early thinking. The thinking is that the required legislation would be put forth at a fall town meeting, which is currently scheduled for late September, is sort of in the 20s. And there's a bunch of twists and turns. So, for example, there is a slot that is open on the CPAC for a Shopc member, and that would have to change. And so there's a variety of things that need to be dealt with. But I think streamlining the process, staffing the Affordable Housing Trust Fund with people who are committed to moving and have expertise in affordable housing would be a first step to sort of moving things forward.
Okay, so right now, Andrew Dennington and Al are the two representatives for this. Are we calling this a working group, Al?
I don't know what we're calling it, but yes, it's not a quorum.
Okay, so
Yes,
two
yes,
members from the two members from the select board, which are Al and Andrew Dennington, and then Lisa Braccio. The idea of this was to combine these two groups, and then we need two members from our board to join the three of them to try to create whatever the mission statement or the parameters of this group are going to be. The members,
That would certainly be something you could propose to the select board. That as I say, there is no working group at the moment that exists other than Andrew and I. So we're floating this out there, and we're trying to find out what people think about it, and then we will proceed from there. And in fact, Andrew and I haven't even had a chance to deal with this very heavily. I've been busy with regional dispatch and trying to get agriculture returned to Chestnut Hill Farm.
Oh,
If I could chime in here, I mean,
Yes.
first of all, I think this is a good idea. When I first joined this board, you know, Al, you were good enough to sit down with me one Sunday morning and I asked you a bunch of questions and one of them was, what is the difference between Shopc and the trust fund? And, you know, yeah, there is a difference, but they do seem to overlap quite a bit. So, you know, I think it's a good idea and I'd be interested in serving on this working group or whatever we're calling it to try to come up with a solution.
and I know Lisa Braccio is working on this already because I've actually been working with her to try to pull together, originally, we're gonna do a citizens petition to try to get something going with this. So I would actually like to continue working on this if the board deems that to be okay. My cat, sorry, my cat's scratching the door. Jesse, you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I fully support Dorian Jasinski and Paul Desmond representing Shopsy in this endeavor.
Thank you. John?
Whether or not I support the endeavor itself is another matter, but that's TBD.
I don't know if you guys know or not, I'm not renewing my term, so I'm a short timer, so, but I would absolutely endorse Paul and Dorian as the members on this to explore the committee and moving forward.
Okay, thank you, John.
Okay, well,
okay.
I will certainly, Dorian, I'm sure you're gonna let Andrew know what the will of the committee is, and I'll convey that as well.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a-
will email him. I promised him and Kathy that I would email them as soon as we had the two chosen people from Shopsy. I would let them know as soon as possible. So I will do that right after the meeting. Al, you please feel free to do the same. Okay, so this is going to require a vote. So do we have a motion?
Yeah. So the motion is support for Dorian Jasinski and Paul Desmond representing Shopsy on the exploratory committee to merge Shopsy with Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, John. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Jesse?
Aye.
Paul?
I,
Al?
Aye.
John?
aye.
And Dorian is aye. Okay, Paul, you have your workout cut out for you.
right back at you, Dorian.
All right, thank you. All right, what I'd like to try to do now is, I just want to make sure if anybody sees a hand raised, I know we have Jan Sturgeon in the audience. Jan, welcome. I'm not ignoring you. But if you have anything to add or say on any of these discussions, please just raise your hand and I will acknowledge you and let you speak. Okay, process for a building project on any land. I know I have on here on the North Shore Road. It doesn't necessarily have to be on this property. It's a general thing. What are the steps we need to follow? Where do we go? How do we, we don't have to identify land now. Obviously, we have possibilities of one or two places. But Doug had done an extensive amount of work, and he's not able to be here tonight because something came up from work. And he has spoken to a couple of builders that do this affordable type of work. I had sent you all his email. He had sent you all his email. I'm not sure if you can pull that back up. And it discussed in detail, what these companies told him would be the next steps. Can everybody pull that up? Do you find this? Because I'm just going to read it to you anyway. It's pretty short. It's not that long. And if you want me to resend it, I can resend it. Okay. So as of right now, there are several groups that are working on affordable housing and they're very active in the area. one of the groups, or both groups, two groups right now are very active in the Hudson and Framingham areas. One group does apartment and townhome style development for rent and for sale, and the other group only does rental for affordable apartments. Projects need to be at least 30 to 40 units, affordable units. Smaller numbers of units do not provide efficiencies and are harder for these groups to execute on. This is not to suggest smaller projects cannot be achieved, just that these two groups do not pursue smaller projects. Again, there are many groups. We have a list of 8 groups right now that we were going to send letters out to when we started looking at the Atwood property. So there are a multitude of groups, but these are the 2 groups that Doug had focused on, was the Metro West Collaborative Development and the NOAA CDC, and CDC stands for the Community Development Corporation. Okay, both groups use LITC funds, which are low-income housing tax credits, in the capitalization of these projects. They are provided by the state in 1 to 2 funding rounds each year. This is a competitive process, but well-located projects with town support typically get funded over time. Both groups are also used to obtain historical tax credits if an older town building is available for redevelopment. When both of these 2 groups work with towns, the town typically provides the land for free and then additional funds to make the projects financially feasible. Several projects were referenced when the towns gave approximately $20,000 per unit on top of the land. A 30-unit project recently received $600,000 from a town's affordable housing trust fund. The lack of town sewer is a complexity and a cost issue for affordable housing developments. It adds material costs to a project and needs to be factored in. One group stated it would not pursue an affordable housing project if the town does not have a town sewer. So that is definitely a challenge for our town. Both groups strongly recommend that the town work with an affordable housing consultant when it is preparing a request for a proposal for affordable housing developers for a parcel of land that they want to develop affordable housing on. There is a lot of complexity in affordable housing financing sources, and RFP language needs to be appropriately tailored to avoid issues for groups to obtain funding. There are state funding resources to hire consultants for this role. The typical process for permitting an affordable housing project is a friendly Chapter 40B process. This streamlines the process for permitting. These groups would not pursue a project in a town unless there was already strong support for the project and the town had taken any material town actions in order to facilitate it, i.e. acquisition of land, approval of resources from the town, funding, etc. We already know this, but both stated that 100% of the units would count towards a town's required 10% of the affordable housing number that is necessary by the state. Local preference for existing town residents and town employees, up to 70% of the units can be provided, which is similar to a 40B project. So we can have 70% of whatever we would build, we can make sure that our town employees, teachers, firemen, policemen, etc., can move in or rent those units. An affordable housing project can be part of a market rate project as well, but the affordable housing component needs to be financed separately. An example is a 50-unit townhome development where half are affordable and the other half are market rate. The other thing that Doug noted is both of these companies that he talked to, these builders, said they would be happy to join a future meeting and talk with us. And I think that is something we should definitely consider doing going forward. I know it's June now, but I just think that that's very important to get a couple of these groups in and talk to them and see what they say. I know we've already talked to Habitat. They came in a couple of years ago and we understand their process. But I think there's others, the community Metro West groups, all of those. I think we just need to speak to whoever we decide to choose, so. Anybody have anything or questions on any of that? That's all from Doug. Doug did a bunch of research, so.
Yeah, first question regarding infrastructure. And it's too bad Doug isn't here
I
because
know.
the question, the point regarding wastewater and the septic versus sewer situation. Does the board have, what are the ideas to mitigate that, or I guess overcome that challenge or work through that challenge?
So, I think as we think about this process, the first thing we have to do is, I feel a little bit like a kid in a candy shop, but I've only got 6 cents in my pocket. And so, I ran some very simple numbers. If we're going to build a 30-unit parcel, building, we need something on the order of 4 acres. Jesse, you have experience in this area, but I don't think that's a crazy number. And 4 buildable acres in Southborough are worth about $1.2 million, roughly $300,000 an acre per building lot. I'm looking at 57 Porterville, which the Affordable Housing Trust Fund tried to buy, and that sold 3/10 of an acre with a utterly dilapidated building. I mean, it was bad,
Very
really
bad.
bad. And that sold for $295,000. So we're talking about, something north of $1 million to buy the land, assuming we have to buy the land. I'm not aware of any parcel that the town currently owns that would qualify, even if we could convince town meeting to transfer it to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Then we're talking about, sorry, this is going to be a bit of a downer for a minute, but I think we have to sort of understand what is within our grasp. So if we're going to use 30 units and we have to provide $20,000 to $30,000 worth of subsidy, that's a number somewhere between 600,000 and 900,000. And then we have to probably subsidize a septic system. We can do septic up to, I believe it's 10,000 gallons a day. And beyond that, we're talking mini plant. So we're talking about a number that is at least 6 figures. And I don't have good numbers. I have a reasonable idea about what a single family septic system costs, which is in the neighborhood of $30,000 to $50,000. I think you get some economies of scale if you're building a larger scale. And Jesse, you probably know some of this much better than I do because you review plans all the time. So
Yeah. So
I-
I guess what I was trying to get to was, is it just one builder that wouldn't work with a town that didn't have sewer, and there are other builders that will work with towns that have sewers?
I suspect there are. We just have to, sweeten the pot enough to make it worth profitable for them. So the point I'm trying to get to is that we need to find something north of $2 million if we wanted to build something that's on the order of 30 units. And currently, in all of the various affordable housing buckets that exist, we have a little under $1 million, and all of that may not be available. I can't say much more than that. So the first thing we have to do is go out and look for money if we wanted to build something like this, or we have to change the vision of what it is we want. Now, I'll tell you that I'm meeting with Mass Housing tomorrow to talk about, steps to see how we might reasonably find money. But, so, I think if, one option that has been brought up would be to take, the, community housing money that in theory will be coming in our, CPA fundings and bond that. That might get us $600,000 in the current interest rate environment, so maybe $700,000, assuming we could borrow money at 4%. The town is about to engage in several massive borrowing exercises, the least of which, the largest of which is the nearest school, which is it's a scary number. But, and I'm not sure, how all of that fits in terms of, we currently have a AAA credit rating. Hopefully we will maintain that, but we need to be careful about how we manage our borrowing. So I think the first question, I'll have more information tomorrow sometime, but about if there are sources of funding, or whether we need to think about a different scheme in terms of, what it is we want to build. But if we want to build something that's, 30 units-ish, we're going to have to find substantially more money than I think we currently have.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a bit of a bummer, I know, but or we have to deal with reality, and when I need to redo my kitchen, I first look at the money I have, and then I can figure out what appliances I can really afford.
I mean, Al, actually, it does work financially. If we have the $1 million, it's the land that we don't. If the town owned land, or if land was donated or was available, then we could subsidize the build. That's what I extracted from Doug's comments.
You're right. If the town owned the land, and no, let me back up. If the Affordable Housing Trust Fund owned the land, you have to remember that to move town-owned land from the town to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund requires a 2/3 vote of town meeting. That's a heavy lift. Now, it might be doable in the right parcel, but quite frankly, the town does not own the only. I go to the GIS system and root around looking for the little parcels, and the town owns a lot of land, and they typically own the pieces of land that developers couldn't do anything with. Yeah, you know this better than I do, Jesse. And there's not a 3 to 4 acre parcel that I can identify that the town owns, and so we would have to find somebody who is willing to donate it. There are a couple of spots in town, and I don't want to jinx anything that
Don't jinx us.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask,
So
how big is the Neary school lot?
The nearest school lot is substantial, but first we have to figure out what they're going to do with it. And you remember that the portions of that lot, there's a lot of wetlands on that lot, as you know. We got to build something on there. I'm not sure. There's a lot of fill on that on that lot, and there are a lot of playing fields on that lot. And the one thing I can assure you of is, if you want to convince the town to take a playing field and turn it into affordable housing, you'll become less popular than I am. But yes, the Neary School Building Committee is spending some time looking at that parcel to figure out what they're going to do. And if they want to build something new, they've got to strip away like 5 feet of soil to get down to something that they can actually build on, and then replace it. So it's worth a question to ask, and I will poke at it. you know, but, I don't think we're gonna take land I don't think we're gonna divert land that is currently used as a park. I don't think we're gonna take land that, I went and looked at the town forest, and I had a conversation with the conservation agent who rapidly disabused me of the idea that we could use some of that land because there's all sorts of state laws that protect it. I've been poking at this for a while, and Jesse, this geography well. If you've got a parcel you think is worth investigating, I'll investigate. But if we want to build a 30 to 40 units thing, we're going to have to acquire land, and unless you've got somebody who's philanthropically inclined to donate the land, I think we got to buy it. That's certainly, if we were talking about the 61A property, we would have to buy it.
Or
So
fundraise.
getting back to Doug's point,
Yep, John, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I've had my hand up for a bit and I just want to
No,
get
I
back. to
know,
the point we were
sorry.
talking about. No, I just
I didn't want to
just
interrupt
going
the
way off track
conversation.
there for a bit. So
Oh,
getting
I
to Doug's
see.
point, the builder in Framingham that you talked about, that company in Framingham,
Yeah.
also works with the housing authority in Framingham. You guys really, I've been saying this for a bit. You really should get Paul Landers, the executive director of Framingham's Housing Authority. He also oversees Southborough Housing Authority. Or you could reach out to Bill Scanlon, William Scanlon. He works with, they have a very similar thing to Southborough's Affordable Housing Trust. And what they do is they build duplexes or these other smaller projects and they rent them out. And they rent them out as Section 8 to the state. So they get full market value return to it. And it counts as true low income housing, not a 40B, like somebody who's really could use some help. So if you want to build true affordable housing, reach out and talk to that. I think it's the same builders that Doug's talking about. You can do
Yes,
smaller projects, duplex, like you were looking at a couple of these other smaller properties. And you don't want to be a landlord, so you make you turn it over to the housing authority to be the landlord, and it stays in perpetuity, and you get money back as a rental at full market value, Section 8 housing. Just a thought.
those two companies were on our list of 8, so now we have 6 others beside these guys,
But you know what I mean? But what you want to do when you bring these other people in to talk to, they're already working with some of these other places, which can help find state money, and as well as, these tax incentive things, the lets that they were telling about. So you
I
got a
think
lot of options.
I think that's where the consultant can come in too, John, to help us find.
Yeah, but just don't get pigeonholed and get nothing
know.
done. That's
Yeah.
all.
Paul,
Yeah.
hang on, let Paul's, Paul's
uh,
had his, sorry.
I agree with what John just said, what you just said, Dorian. I mean, to me, what Doug's, research was really just the tip of the iceberg. And I think that's all it was intended to be. I mean, he talked to a couple of people, gave him some good info, but I think it's incumbent on us to follow up on that. And, whether it's having those same 1 or 2 of those same guys in, I think talking to a consultant that has experience in this area, because to me, it's like, we need to be ready the next time an opportunity arises, whatever happens with the Northborough Road property. I mean, we clearly weren't ready. So, I mean, the next time, to sort of have our ducks in a row and have a much better idea of what's feasible, I think would behoove us. And then also to just go look for them. I mean, there's got to be other 61A properties in town that we can proactively go look at and, see if there's a deal to be made. And I mean, to me, Al, I hear what you're saying about the money, and yeah, that's always an issue. But I mean, other communities are doing this. I mean, I don't think these are insurmountable issues. It becomes a matter of priorities. And if we're serious about this, we need to make affordable housing a priority that we're willing to invest in. So, and I can't get this idea out of my head that it is an investment, because you're building something that's generating tax revenue forever, right? I mean, shouldn't that be part of this argument?
It should be, but right now I think we're in such early stages, nobody's really mentioned
I think
it.
that's how you build a case for this. I mean, if we have to invest 2 million, okay. We build 30 units that, I don't know, whatever tax revenue they generate, how long does it take to get our 2 million back? I mean, to me, isn't that part of the
Good point.
equation?
It's a very good point, Paul. So what I'd like to do, at our next meeting is I'd like to invite, one of these, two groups that Doug's already spoken to and have them come in and speak with us a little bit and then, see how we feel about moving forward and maybe asking, every meeting for the next, 3 or 4 meetings, having a couple of different groups coming in and talking to us and let us know what their thoughts would be or what their process would be or where they feel the town needs to be in terms of readiness, like land, funding, like we've never done this. We don't know. This is like a big project. We want to do 30 to 40 units. That's a big project. It's not just a little one house, for 2 people or something like we've done piecemeal. We need to develop something that's substantial, that's actually going to make a difference in people's lives. And that's the whole reason why we are on this board, is to help the community and help people who are desperately in need for housing. So I just think it's critical. So I am going to try to get somebody at the next meeting if you all are okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just avoid the one that said that they won't work with a municipality that doesn't have sewer.
Nope,
But
I agree. Yeah, well, because we don't, so that would be a waste of their time and a waste of ours and, you know me, I don't like wasting your guys' time because you're all working, so, okay.
You know, another thing that's somewhat related to this, but I don't know if you remember a while back, somebody sent out an email about this conference, I guess it is, going on next week.
Yeah.
And I had signed up for that. It's Wednesday and Thursday, like all day, the Massachusetts Housing Institute in Worcester. And as it turns out, I can go Wednesday, but I can't go Thursday. So if anyone wants to step in and do that, by all means. But, this is,
I am out of town, I can't.
but this is the topic. They're going to talk about various ways to get projects like this done. So,
Well, maybe you'll get all the information on Wednesday.
yeah, we'll see.
Take good notes. Okay, 61, does anybody have any other questions or comments to add to, the summary of the process that obviously it's way more complicated and more involved than the few little notes, but does anybody have anything else they want to add to that part of tonight's meeting? Okay, so, Northborough Road 61A property, not a bona fide offer sent back to, the owners. We haven't heard back from anybody. I do not believe, Al, have we?
So, it's not clear if it's a bona fide offer or not. The town council has sent a letter saying we don't think it is. I think the reality of that property, and again, I'm not going to vote on this, is that the applicant, which appears to be a company that builds solar farms, is going to have to go through a lengthy approval process with, probably the state and with the town. So my guess, and I wouldn't be at all surprised, Jesse, if you see these guys at some point, that we're talking that, before title changes, we're talking year to 2 years. My guess is something like that. If you believe that when the title changes is when our options exist, it does appear, at least at first blush, like we would have to buy the entirety of the property, which is north of $5 million. That it is a single lot. I did spend time with Paul Sabelli, and he said even though the road bisects the lot, it is considered a single lot. So that's sort of technical information that I can offer.
Okay. But right now we're at a standstill on that. We don't have any new information. Nothing's happened. Nothing's come back and, Jay Tellerman sent a letter to them saying, we don't believe it's a bona fide offer, but there's nothing else that's transpired at this point. So this is we're just kind of in a holding pattern. So I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit tonight.
So can I ask a question on that? So Al, is it your understanding that until title changes hands, we can still, make an offer? Or I thought there was like 120-day window once we got the bona fide offer.
So I'm not a lawyer. I did read the thing, and it looks like to me it's an option to buy. And that the applicant gave the owner money to preserve their option to buy at a particular price over the next couple of years. And so whether when the 61A clock starts ticking is an open question at this time. I suspect that if I were the owner, and I would probably want to argue that the clock has ticked and has expired, and but the reality is that, at least as I understand things today, I'm not advocating one way or the other, we would have to buy we would have to essentially take the option that already exists, and so to buy the whole property. That seemed to be what Paul Sabelli was suggesting. Paul is very knowledgeable in these matters, and so
who is the authority on answering the question about whether the clock is ticking and how much it's been, all of that? Because we had this question out here for a couple of months, it seems.
That would be our town legal counsel, Jay Tallerman.
but I hate to say this, but the authority is the courts. You know how this works. When two people disagree, I don't know is the real answer. Town council has opined that has sent a letter saying he does not think this is a valid offer. Again, it might make sense. I need to stop at this point.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're at a holding pattern right now on it anyway, Paul, so, there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied, so until somebody makes a decision one way or another, we can't do anything, so, okay.
What do you mean, we Shopc or?
Yeah, we the town, we Shopc, we Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we Board of Selectmen, we anybody. There's nothing any of us can do. It's, town council has made a response. My understanding is they have not heard back from the sellers of the land, the trust. So we are in a holding pattern. We're just waiting. Maybe Jay Tallerman's opinion that he said was it wasn't bona fide offer. He's our legal counsel. So unless somebody wants to call him and ask him, you'd have to go through more people to do
I mean, I don't know. Normally, when you don't hear something back from someone, you ask
Al,
again.
yeah, and Al can't do it. So, one of us somebody wants to call Mark Purple and put a bug in his ear. Please feel
You
free
could-
to do that. Let me know when you find out.
You
Unless you
could
want
certainly
me to do it, I'm happy to call him.
you could certainly request a copy of the letter that he sent.
Okay,
I think that's public information.
okay. I will call Mark tomorrow. And I'll see if I can get a copy of the letter and I will forward it to everyone. How's that? And then I'll see if I can get some more information out of Mark. Where the status is on that. And then I
That'd be
will
great.
get back to you.
Okay,
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. All right, does anybody have any other questions on any of our topics or anything for tonight? Okay,
I'll
John,
give you. Oh,
go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, John, we are going to miss you. But we wish you all the very best and extremely grateful for your time, your dedication, to all of us here on Shopc. And we're definitely gonna miss you, sir.
I'm sorry I couldn't I couldn't get back on. It just wasn't fair to the committee that I didn't have the time that I feel it deserves to get with
Well,
the
we
mission that you guys
understand.
have on. So I do apologize.
No apology
You guys making
necessary.
upward and onward.
Nope. You got a
You guys
tough
are killing
job.
it.
It's a lot busier than the last one was.
What's that?
This new job is a lot busier than the last job was.
I like the old job, not gonna lie. But you're right.
All right, we do need to pick a date for the next meeting so that I can reach out, to see if we can get somebody in here just to at least talk to us about process. Does anybody have any? It's gonna have to be either before July, like at the end of June, or sometime after, I mean, mid-July. I don't want to mess up anyone's summer vacation, so what are your schedules looking like?
I'm around in July, so.
Jesse?
Yeah, I think July is gonna be better for me.
Okay, Al? You're muted. Al, you're muted.
I'm around in July.
Okay, so which night would you prefer to do it on? What's a better night? Do you want to go back to the Wednesday nights? So if we look at July 10th, how does that look for everyone? Wednesday, July 10th.
Sure.
Okay. Jesse, that good? No?
Sorry. Wednesdays are tough for me at night.
Yeah, not that great for me either.
Do you want to do it in the morning?
That would be better.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna try to get this builder to come. It's probably better for him at night. He probably gets,
Well, how
first,
about
like my husband,
Thursday?
he's up at 5 a.m. out the door, 5:45, and he doesn't come home till 7 o'clock at night. So
How about Thursday, the 11th?
Thursday, the 11th,
Works for me.
Paul and Al.
Good.
Okay, so why don't we do Thursday, the 11th? And this may change because if I can get one of those builders to come and at least just talk to us about process. That may not work for them, but why don't we say July 11th at 7 p.m. And would you gentlemen prefer to be a Zoom meeting, or would you prefer to be in person with us if somebody wants to talk to us? It's probably easier for them Zoom, that way they don't have to. come
Yeah,
up
Zoom
here,
is gonna
right?
be the way to go.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, all right, so July 11th, 7 p.m. Zoom. And I will keep you all posted once I'll reach out to them tomorrow. I'll send them, I'll get the email or a phone call and I'll see what I can figure out. Okay, I don't see. Let's see if Jan does not have her hand up. So Jan, I don't believe you have anything to say. I don't see a hand up. Al?
Yeah, I was just gonna give a 30-second Atwood update, which is we have consultants coming in to look at the property and to drill a large number of holes for lead testing, including on the Sturgeon's property, as they are near neighbors. We should probably know sometime in July what the results of those testing are. July or August, sometime over the summer, we'll know what the results of those testing. So.
Perfect. Jan, do you have any questions on that? No, okay. All right, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay,
Yeah,
do we have a
second.
second? We have a second, okay, roll call vote, Jesse,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Dorian is aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great weekend and I will be in touch. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
John.
No problem.
Bye.